Have you ever wondered what the limits of survival Minecraft are? How far could people who dedicated enough time and had the right skills go? How far could they push Minecraft's boundaries, and how many things could they do which the majority of the playerbase thought was impossible? Could they get the world record for most diamonds obtained legitimately in survival mode? Could they somehow manipulate or exploit the game's code to spawn in ungodly amounts of mobs at incredibly high speeds? Could they also exploit the fortune enchantment, allowing them to get the max amount of items from every single ore they mine? Could they flick one lever and completely disable mob spawning in the overworld? Could they obtain bedrock in survival mode? A server which redefines the possibilities of survival Minecraft and is arguably the most advanced server out there. But who are they and how do they do it? Well, today I'm going to tell you about SciCraft, the Minecraft SMP with some of the best players in the world. The server, founded by Ragu42, initially began in late 2014. The first YouTube video of SciCraft was also uploaded by Ragu on December 25th, 2014, but unlike the first episode of many other Minecraft series, this episode began with the team killing the Ender Dragon. Now, unfortunately there isn't much information available on the history of the server. I scoured Google, old YouTube videos, and even Reddit, and I really couldn't find much. So I tried to contact some of the early SciCraft members to ask them, but unfortunately they were busy. As such, I don't want to tell you any incorrect information, so hopefully one of the early SciCraft members sees this video and can inform us a bit about the early days of the server. Anyways, let's talk about the members of the server now. At the time of this video, there are 31 active members on the server, and another 12 people who aren't as active but are still considered members. Because there is far too many to cover individually, I'll leave links in the description to all their channels and tell you about some of the members who are more publicly known or have sizable YouTube followings. First of all, there is Ilmango, who has over 600,000 subscribers on YouTube and uploaded his first ever SciCraft episode on October 4th, 2015. Since then, he has uploaded frequently, specializing in farms, tutorials, and currently has uploaded over 157 episodes in his SciCraft series. Then there is Gnembon, who has 128,000 subscribers on YouTube and invented Carpet Mod, a mod for vanilla Minecraft which gives you access to many technical features that vanilla Minecraft does not natively let you alter or use. For example, you can see the server TPS and updates using the command /log, and /tick_warp allows you to speed up Minecraft, enabling you to run farms for multiple hours in game in only a few minutes of real time. XCOM6000 is another member who has specialized in enderpearl cannons and other TNT based mechanisms, and has also played a significant role in that crazy fast witch farm you saw at the beginning of the video, but I'll talk more about that later. He also has a channel on YouTube with over 25,000 subscribers. Then finally there's Ragu42, the founder of the server, who has been uploading SciCraft videos for almost 6 years now. Now of course, every single member deserves to be talked about, as they all have unique skills which were the reason they got invited to the server in the first place, but I unfortunately can't talk about every member, so be sure to check the description for more info. So what makes the server so special? Well, as I just mentioned, all members of SciCraft have to be invited, and this invitation is often based upon their skills and knowledge. They all specialize in some field or another, and they talked about some of these in their Minecon panel last year, so let me summarize. A member named Myron often does thorough research into what's possible in vanilla Minecraft, which can include creative mode testing and reading the source code of the game. He actually spends very little time on the server as he stated, but his work is very important and he often discovers bugs and features that are incredibly useful. For example, he discovered the bug which can break bedrock and also TNT duplication. Gnomnon, of course, invented Carpet Mod as we previously mentioned, and also designs and optimizes farms. Methods focuses on snapshots and discovering new mechanics or features as well as changes. Ilmango mentioned that he sees himself as a Minecraft engineer who focuses on flying machines, redstone and building farms. He has made many notable contraptions, but his quarries are most impressive. And finally there's Panic, who just enjoys playing survival Minecraft and often builds up a lot of the farms of SciCraft's design, making them look aesthetically pleasing. He also created the piston bolt map, but more about that later. What I'm trying to say here is that when you have dozens of members who all know what they are doing and have specialties in multiple advanced fields, you can accomplish great things which were previously thought to be impossible. So let's talk about some of the crazy things they've done now. But before we do, consider subscribing if you haven't already, as it really helps me out. Anyways, SciCraft is full of unique and crazy farms, contraptions, structures, and more, so I'll tell you about some of the more extreme things they have built, as well as some of their gigantic farms. First of all, let's talk about their quad witch farm, which has a gigantic perimeter, all with a custom made floor and wall design, which looks absolutely incredible. It's difficult to see from the video, but the scale of this thing is massive. It's absolutely huge. So this witch farm is slightly unique, as they actually manually dug out about 5 million blocks by hand 5 years ago now, making it one of their oldest builds on the server. Now they have multiple other witch farms scattered around the map, which are all gigantic as well, and apparently there's 22 in total, which is absolutely insane. But what makes this one unique is that it's a quad witch hut farm, meaning that there were 4 witch huts in the vicinity of each other, and also the other farms they didn't manually dig out. So how did they clear out such a large area, or perimeter as it's called, for all of their other farms? And why? Well, first of all, if they clear a perimeter and spawn proof the entire area, then no other mobs can spawn in that area aside from in the actual farm, which greatly increases spawn rates, basically making the farm run far faster. Second of all, instead of mining all the blocks out by hand, they use slime block flying machines equipped with TNT dupers, basically acting as flying bombers, which go back and forth, bombing all the terrain and destroying it. Perimeters are something which you'll see a lot in their farms, and they are incredibly useful. Another one of their crazy farms is their gigantic slime farm, made of 24 individual slime chunk farms. You can see these little squares that pop out of the ground in this gigantic area, as those are the slime farms, and most people only tend to make 1 or 2. But not the SciCrafters. They specifically chose this location due to the higher frequency of slime chunks which were in the area. But then not only that, they had to clear out once again a gigantic perimeter to increase the spawn rates. But here's something even cooler. Instead of killing the slimes at the farm like most people would, to increase the rates of the farm, all the slimes get teleported into the nether and get thrown down and die where their drops are collected. The portal which they come out of is also glitched, as it doesn't have any bottom blocks, and they use a complex exploit requiring 2,000 banners to do so. They even have a complex redstone computer which calculates how much slime they have stored. Absolutely insane stuff. Okay, now back to the slime farm in the overworld. You can also see how the floor has a cool design. Well, this wasn't hand built. This was built by a machine which randomized the block placement, creating that cool texture. Alright. Next, let's talk about that crazy fast witch farm, which spawns witches at a rate which is far higher than standard survival Minecraft. This kind of farm uses an exploit called RNG manipulation. Basically, every game tick, which is 0.05 seconds, the game tries to spawn a witch in this location, as this used to be the location of a witch hut. Now, I apologize in advance if I don't explain this completely right, as it's a fairly complex procedure, but basically the SciCrafters discovered an exploit in Minecraft's random number generator, which is responsible for determining many game mechanics such as whether or not a witch will spawn every game tick. They found out that the random number generator could be reset if they load a specific chunk in a special region in the overworld. If the random number generator is reset, then it will spawn a witch every single game tick, which spawns a crazy amount of them. But that's not even the craziest thing. What's on your screen right now is a finished render of a certain project. Let me zoom in for you here. Alright, there we go. What's that look like now? A small little island with a tree, another island in a desert style with a cactus, and another portal. Remind you of anything? Okay, how about all those dark blocks everywhere? What are those? Well, they're not blocks. That's the void. You heard me right, the void. What you're looking at here is a finished render of Project Cyblock, a project which took over 2 years, where the SciCrafters made the famous Skyblock map in their own survival world. This whole area you're looking at is 1000 by 1000 blocks, meaning they had to remove well over 1 million blocks of bedrock in survival mode. So how did they do it? Well, for all the blocks of bedrock above the very bottom layer, they used a trick with dragon eggs. Basically, when dragon eggs fall down in lazy chunks, they break the block below them. This was a common method used in 1.12 before it was patched in later versions. The SciCrafters, of course, automated this to an extent and made a much better version which was far more efficient than what I just did. But for bedrock on the bottom layer, Y0, they had to invent a new method using piston heads, which is very complex, as you can see on your screen right now. Basically, they built a contraption which uses TNT to create headless pistons, then pistons are pushed in from the side which retract above the bedrock and remove it. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine here. If you want more info about this and how it works, then go check out Ilmango's 123rd episode of SciCraft. Speaking of bedrock, well, the SciCrafters were able to obtain a bedrock item in survival Minecraft using exploits and a wooden pickaxe with Silk Touch 1. Hilarious, I know. So how did they do it? Once again, it's very complex. I'll leave a video by Earth Computer in the description who goes into detail to explain it. But to summarize, they use an enderpearl cannon to teleport a player to a specific location containing an end gateway. At this specific location, they build a structure which prevents the chunk from being saved by overloading it with data written in books. This means that when the chunk is loaded, it is regenerated as if a player was walking past it for the first time, including the end gateway. But before that, the structure they set up has a slime block placed where a bedrock would generate, and also a block lit on fire in front of it. When the player gets teleported, they lag the server, preventing the player from generating or loading new chunks, and then by destroying the slime blocks and extinguishing the fire, they update the chunk and are able to trick the game into thinking they broke a block of end gateway, thus dropping bedrock. They also have a crazy fast Guardian farm, which gives them about 1 million items per hour, and this farm is even faster than the RNG witch farm we talked about earlier, but it actually doesn't utilize any exploits. Now a lot of their farms are built in specific areas which are often quite far out from spawn, and as such they need a fast way to get around. This is where they have their piston bolt network in the nether, an ultra fast method of travelling. They even have a map built to display where each piston goes. They have done many other insane projects that I would love to talk about, but the final one I want to mention is their mob switch. The mob switch is basically a large scale contraption which when turned on moves a bunch of shulkers, which are hostile mobs, into the spawn chunks, and the spawn chunks are always loaded. By doing this, they fill up the server mob cap, preventing hostile mobs from spawning anywhere. Basically, it's like changing the difficulty to peaceful. This would have taken a long time to set up, as they had to go to dozens of end cities and transport the shulkers back to the overworld. In the world tour, Umango state that it took about 60 hours to set up. The reason they use shulkers is because shulkers have the special property of contributing to the mob cap while also not despawning. But anyways, let's talk more about how and why they do what they do now. So how do they accomplish such large scale and incredibly complex projects? Well, they talked about this a bit in their Minecon panel, but they are incredibly organized and have a step-by-step methodical process for when they build new farms and contraptions. First of all, they figure out what they need to farm, whether it be gunpowder, redstone, or whatever. Then they initially come up with the design of their farm or contraption in their creative world, try to make it as efficient as possible. They also need to ensure it is lag friendly and won't crash the server or cause issues. This process of farm designing often involves a lot of trial and error, and while new strategies and methods may be used to make the farm more efficient, this often comes with a range of new problems. For example, if they want to use nether portals to transport the mobs in a farm to improve the farm spawn rates, then they have the issue of the nether portal emitting light and preventing some spawns. They then build the entire farm up on their creative world to ensure it all works before they go to build it in survival. Building it in survival often involves creating a large trench and world eater which can destroy millions of blocks, creating a perimeter. Once the perimeter is built, clear and ready, which can take a while as they may have to remove water or other obstructions, then they boot up a light Methodical, which is basically an in-game blueprint showing them how to build the farm, displaying where blocks need to be placed. To finalize the farm, they would then set up a killing and collection system, which is already dependent on the type of farm they make, and then they can reap the rewards. So now you know how they do what they do, I can tell you why they do what they do. They talk about this once again in their panel, but to summarize, automation saves a lot of time in survival, giving you time to do the fun stuff, such as coming up with new ideas and building groundbreaking new contraptions. Automation and farms also allows you to have access to an insane amount of resources. The SciCrafters want to push the limits of the game, and to do this they need to automize and have access to lots of different things. Their impact on the game is crazy, and just looking on Hermitcraft you can see that many of the hermits have adopted the SciCrafters farm and built them or slightly modified them. So what's in the future for SciCraft? Well, if you didn't know already, they're still playing version 1.12.2 and did not update to 1.13 due to the many changes to the game which came with it, breaking many of the farms on their server. Also, 1.13 and versions after are significantly less stable, and it's likely the SciCraft server wouldn't even be able to run in newer versions of the game. It's quite unlikely that they will update to newer versions unless there are some serious performance improvements. But that won't limit what they can do. They still continue to prove often that they want to revolutionize the game and keep creating things which will blow the community away. So, SciCraft is a private SMP server which is constantly pushing the limits of the game, accomplishing the impossible, breaking the boundaries of Minecraft, and proving that you can do many things which the Minecraft community never thought they would ever see in survival. They revolutionized the Minecraft technical scene, and many of their farms and designs are built by millions of players in their own worlds. Their cooperation and organization is unmatched, accomplishing gigantic projects which normal players never could. It's likely that they will go on to create even greater things and continue to blow the Minecraft community away in the future. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to subscribe and leave a comment if you did. Thank you all so much for watching.